I think we have time for some questions. Could we form a panel and we could ask our speakers to take a few questions? We have a question here, and just once again, if we could ask to stand up. We're kind of sharing our presence with the whole globe with the upstreaming that we're doing. Thank you.
Yes, my question is about one of balance. On the one hand, to improve the world, we might say we have to begin by sitting and looking in the mirror and confronting ourselves. On the other hand, we would like to improve the state of the world. And I want to make a very quick reference to historically what happened to the philosopher Plato when he tried to engage in the world and improve it. He went to Syracuse and tried to incorporate his idea of a philosopher king, and he ended up being thrown in jail and was lucky to escape the area with his life. And then, fortunately for us, went back to write many dialogues that we're reading today. So I'd like to ask the speakers to address this question of how we balance the attempt to find that inner light within ourselves, but at the same time try as a practical matter to help people with whom we come in contact on a daily basis.
Go for it.
Thank you. I think there are a number of things we have to consider. In the first place, if we change ourselves, we change something in the society as well. Because we are not isolated. And that is one of the points I try to get across to you, is that we are one. So that means that the theosophical statements, you find them quite often, that you should start to change yourself, is an important thing. That means that you are radiate something else in your direct environment, and you become a living example. The worst thing Theosophists can do is try to change the world by teaching everybody the theosophical teachings and not being a living example of them. Yeah, people get fed up by it and they say, "Oh, there is he again." No, you have to show. John says once it very nicely. He say, "What was it? Walk your words." Yeah.
Walk the talk. Walk the words works well, very well. I think it translates just great. You know, uncertainty and paradox are just part of life. Nothing ventured, nothing gained is the old parable. So why would practical theosophy be any different? You said it quite well, Keith. This is what even a great teacher has a problem with. No effort is a complete success. HPB indicates even Buddha's mission was only partly successful. And yet, as she says, it made all Asia mild and transformative, but not complete, not sufficient. And as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you know, in the course of time, this mighty art is lost, has to be represented. We have to essentially revive it every day as best we can in our own lives, in our own hearts, our own minds. And we deal with the uncertain outcomes because we don't know everything. But that's okay. Plato knew that. He said in the Banquet, we're that place in nature halfway between the gods and full ignorance, between compassion and ourselves. We're in that midpoint. And so philosophy is useful, and so is practice. And so we have a term for it, practical philosophy.
I think that we only can do what we can do. I think we have to accept our own limitations and our own lack of knowledge. At the same time, we can try. And I really like a Buddhist phrase, skillful means. And I think skillful means can be related to each of us at wherever we are. Our skillful means have to do with going to our heart, going to that root of compassion and making our choices that way.
I think it's in the key to Theosophy, I think, where Blavatsky touches on this question and affirms that balance is essential. And she is expressing it in terms of responsibility to self, including family and kin, and responsibility to others, and essentially states that it's not appropriate to starve yourself in order to feed others. You have to find some way of balancing your maintaining your own strength and dynamic energies so that you can best serve the world. I think the ways that we find to do that are going to be probably a little bit different for each of us. Meditation is certainly a path for finding that balance, I think, and as Leone said, and I agree, skillful means is a phrase that kind of encapsulates what it is we're endeavoring to find for ourselves.
Good morning, brother Theosophists and sister Theosophists here and all over the world. I would like to say that I have that kind of, we like to be contagious with this kind of Pollyanna effects. So perhaps we smile more and are more brotherly and friendly to one another throughout this conference. I find that it's kind of difficult sometimes. We are like, we kind of shelter ourselves, and sometimes it's kind of hard for us to even smile to one another. I come across here saying good morning to a lot of people, and they're kind of surprised that I even say that. So I would like to make this observation because I think it's not that you don't want to be friendly. I think it's just to concentrate it in yourself and what you have to do, where you have to go, and you forgot the surrounding. This is a beautiful place. Have you seen the trees? And everywhere in here, they even have a little park, the Peace Park in here. I think it's wonderful. I think being present is what I'm trying to agree. If we are present even when we eat, whatever we do, you find that it's wonderful. And sometimes we eat and we're thinking about our problems and everything else that we left behind. But I learned that being present is very important, being open your heart, especially what an opportunity we have right now with all these wonderful speakers. By the way, thank you very much. That was wonderful, inspiring. And throughout this conference, I hope that we have that kind of uplift, not intellectually, but all within the heart as well. And I would like to say that Lincoln used to say that if you look for the best in others, you will find it. So perhaps we can have that kind of attitude. And what he said before is a matter of practicing what you not just talk, but practice what we are learning. In a very small way, maybe that's a good beginning. And I would like to inspire you to pursue this kind of Pollyanna effects. And thank you so much.
Thank you. We have time for one more question. Would you like to do it? Yeah, she's going to bring you the microphone.
Well, I appreciate what you said. I was going to mention something similar. First of all, we know that wherever we are, wherever we go, there we are. And I lived in India for several years, particularly Calcutta, and I accomplished some good things, and helped a lot of people and so on. But the real thing that I derived from that was people have said, well, did you find sacred India? Did you find this and that? And I said, yes, in the simple people. If you smile at them, they give you the universe. It just flows out. And I'd often have tears of reverie because that connection would be so powerful and right now and right here. And I really think that's the greatest gift we can do with whoever, somebody at the supermarket, some person working, the homeless person on the streets. Just really look at them. And if you want to say something, but that's it. And if you build a hospital or you organize a school or you help a homeless shelter, that's wonderful. But here together, maybe we can do that with one another. And that's a beginning. That's where it really is for me.
Thank you very much for those words. Actually, I think we have time for one more question for the panel. Is anybody, were you trying to say something, Dodson? A question.
Actually,
For the panel.
I'm in search of a question. I'm searching for a question, that's true. The talk was so well and beautifully presented. And the question that arose in mind, and which H.P. Blavatsky mentioned, the key to Theosophy, is that unless humanity or each man, woman, come to feel that by wronging others, one wrong oneself, there is no hope for brotherhood. It was so striking, and I won't go further. Can you further elaborate on that?
You keep passing it down. Pass the buck on that one all the way down the road here. We'll pass it around the room.
Well, I try to, how do you call that, digest a question out of that. And yeah, for me the very simple thing is the interconnection. As soon as we realize that we are one, quite often we think, I'm here, and there is the universe, and there is the one, and there is the first fundamental, etc. But it is the wrong way around. We are the first fundamental. Yeah? So that means that we have everything in us, and we have contact with everything. And the only challenge we have is realization of this, in a very simple way. And that is what I try to say. That is the ethical part of it, and the technical part is helping you to understand that we are one of them. Yeah? Okay, so we have to change our point of view. We don't have to view from our, let's say, impressions to the world. No, we have to try to think from outer world in what we doing there. And then I think we are sitting on a much better track. Because then your whole thinking starts to be, how do you say that? To be affected, to be an example of always taking actions and decisions from the totality point of view. Of course we have limitations, but still we can do the right approach then. But we only have to flip our minds, not saying I'm here and there is the other part. No, we are the others, because we are integrated. It is like the ocean and the waves. There is no wave what is, let's say, can be accepted or can take loose from the ocean. Yeah? We are all one.
Well, I guess all we can say is we do the best we can. Porphyry, early Neoplatonic philosopher at Alexandria, once wrote that of his teacher Plotinus, had achieved illumination 5 times in his life. And Porphyry says, but alas, I've only achieved illumination twice. Wouldn't we just love to have it one time?
Yes. I think that we only can do what we can do, you know, and we have to remember that no action is action too. I think there can be a tendency when you're afraid to act because if you're afraid to do wrong, maybe that the no action in itself is an action. So again, I think we do the best we can do, and if we can try to try to get away from the hurly-burly of our emotions and try to sit in the heart, then we do what we do and we accept the consequences. We can't do anything else but accept the consequences.
To be honest, I've sort of lost track of the question. It's so I have nothing to add.
Well, I think that I'm very grateful for your answers and your questions, and we all are. And I think it's time to talk about the rest of the day just quickly. we will, after a short break, we will start our experiment, our innovation, whatever you call it, of the study circles. And this will be an opportunity at a different level of cross-pollination, so to speak, where there will be small, intimate setting study circles. And one thing that could be said structurally is that they start at the top, at the most abstract, with the three fundamentals. And then you will just see the way they are, that then this afternoon they're still theoretical very much. And then tomorrow's will be slightly more in practice, and then the final one tomorrow afternoon will be even more in practice. But they're all theory and practice. So it's just a development of ideas like that. Structurally, about how the day, if you're kind of wondering how do all these moving parts work, if you just think of the simple idea that in the mornings we assemble in here, and in the afternoons at the end of the day we assemble in here again. And in the middle of the day we have the study circles. And between the study circles we have lunch. And the study circles are like a lunch sandwich. So before lunch and after lunch we have study circles. So, so do we have a picture of the map? Okay. Well, there's the map, and this is our first opportunity to make sure that we know where we're going. And all the information is in your packages, and we hope that you will have much fruitful learning.